Hello everyone, today we have a tempo Sandman list that absolutely dominated today on stream. It allowed me to go from rank 110 down to I think rank 70 at the lowest in a couple of hours, absolutely breezing through everything that we mashed up against. It was able to maintain a 66.7% win rate over the course of 54 games with a net Cuba gain of 62. That is an average of 1.15 per game over all of those games while on stream, which is absolutely wild. And so the overall deck wants to be putting good value, good power, high impact plays down onto the board every single turn into a restrictive Sandman play, into an explosive last turn play, whether that be Claw to sneak some power into another lane, an Ultron, or a Red Hulk to be able to bring home all of those locations or whichever those pivotal turning point locations are. That is what this deck wants to do. The early part of this deck is looking at the Nebula, which is great when you're using it with Sandman. We have the Spider Ham, which can be so disruptive. Some games it's not going to do a whole lot for you. Other games it's going to single-handedly win you the games. We have our mobile cards in our Jeff and our Nocturne. We have Copycat, which is just a great value card, especially when we're seeing less Arishem. It gives us some info about the opponent's deck, and sometimes it is going to be a huge resource as well. Makari, the most boring card that's been printed, but it is a very powerful one. It is very boring, doesn't do anything flashy, but she does her job well. And so if you don't have Makari, I understand a lot of people skipped it. You can go something like Storm, White Widow, or something like a Red Guardian, and it should do just about as well. We have Cassandra Nova, which is our Arishem protection. Since we're seeing people experiment with Arishem Loki, Cassandra Nova is a solid pickup. And even if you just drop her on curve on 3, she's still about a 7 power, so a good value card to drop down, and it negatively impacts their remaining cards. We have Nocturne, Jeff, Captain Marvel as our mobile resource cards, and then as I said earlier, our finishing cards in our Claw, Ultron, Red Hulk, and then Sandman to restrict the opponent on that last turn. Now, I got a lot of questions today about why Ultron over Dr. Doom. With this deck, we're typically going to have between 2 or 3 spaces open in the lanes that we don't play Ultron in. And so overall, Ultron gives us a higher push in the single lane where we drop him, and then those drones are going to be very close to the power output of a Doombot. And so in my testing, the Ultron had a little bit more of a surprise factor, a little bit more impact than the easy to calculate and common Dr. Doom. Now, if you're running a deck that uses a lot more of their board space, then Dr. Doom is probably going to be more consistent. But if you have at least 2 spaces, you almost match the power output of your Dr. Doom. You have more in the raw value of the Ultron. But if you have 3 in any particular lane or more, then Ultron is going to give you more power and a little bit more surprising of that last turn play. Because without the common Patriot, Blue Marvel, the common lines to buff up the Ultron bots is not as easy to read that an Ultron is going to be coming down, and so you can have a little bit of that surprise factor that you might need to find the way to win. We're going to go ahead and jump over into the games. Thank you guys, as always, for being here and all of the support, and I hope that you guys enjoy. Definitely almost cooked us. Had we not had the Claw, they would have had the guaranteed 8. We will take it where we can. Let's jump over into the next one. Next up, we have Hyde. The first location is White Palace. We copy their Black Bolt, and then our Copycat ends up stealing their Arishem, which is unfortunate. We know that their Arishem is at the bottom of their deck. We do have Cassandra Nova for these instances, so we can still get a really big Cassandra going on them. Their Copycat ended up stealing our Nocturne, so it's a mobile card. Let's go Cassandra Nova into maybe Captain Marvel, into Sandman is what I'm tentatively thinking. We want to have enough push in all of the lanes so that if we get hit with a Shang-Chi, we'd be okay. So for now, let's go Captain Marvel. I think this becomes a really simple layout line of Captain Marvel into Sandman into whatever on the last turn. We do lose our Copycat, that's fine with the Black Bolt. Let's go Sandman to the left. We could always go Claw to the left after this turn. We have to remember that their Copycat is Nocturne, though, so that they can move that into Machine World. They do. So they won't be able to move it after this turn. Dark Dimension comes down in mid. The big blob in the left lane ends up being 13 power. And so the nerf ended up hurting it. It ate a lot of cards, though. But it ended up being only 13 power. Can we I don't know that we can beat that, though. We could. An Ultron into Captain Marvel moving over here would beat the Blob. The 2-powered Doombots would win here. And then Shang-Chi wouldn't be enough in Pet Mansion. I almost want to Boomer Snap into it. We're going to. Let's see if they stick it out. Cassandra, yeah, Cassandra being big. Making all of their Blob absorbs super small. All right, let's go ahead and lock in the left lane, Doctor Doom. They go Red Hulk in the left, which is not going to be enough. Crazy that they ended up dropping the Red Hulk there. But we have the middle lane with the drones. We have the right lane with Cassandra Nova, the Captain Marvel, and we will grab it with just the the simple Ultron finisher. We will take the 4 cubes against Arishem anytime we can. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. And so next up we have our Thunder. They start with a Spider-Ham, which you don't see Spider-Ham all that often. Maybe they're running Tempo Sandman as well. They did, and I don't know if the one that was asking about how you know that they drew Copycat, I don't know if you just heard it now or not, but they just stole one because there's like a couple of little clicks whenever they draw it and when it's stealing the ability. And so they have Copycat in hand, whatever that may be. And then Kenny Cooks with the emote only chat. We are going to, we'll launch into it. And then we will see you guys back in 2 minutes. So let's go Cassandra Nova mid. Something like Captain Marvel into Nidavellir. Gladiator pulls out Spider-Ham, which, wait. The Ownerville didn't trigger for the Spider-Ham. All right, let's go Captain Marvel into the right lane. The Copycat that they drew from us ended up being our Copycat. So definitely could have been better for him. Let's snap into it. Let's go Sandman into, I think, Ultron. Or Ultron, depending on where they played this turn. And that's going to allow us to fill the rest of the board. We can pressure all of the lanes, even without the enablers like Patriot, Blue Marvel, which sometimes become a little bit too transparent. And then they know that the Sandman could be coming down. The second Copycat ended up... oh, okay. That's why our Spider-Ham didn't go off with Gladiator. Because their second Copycat... their second Copycat had stolen our Spider-Ham. So interesting. But we have Ultron. Right now, it looks like they have a pretty good shot. But Ultron being able to impact all of the board state, I think, is going to find us that way to win. We also top deck Makari, so if we had to, we could do like Nocturne Jeff and then allow Makari to drop wherever she needed to. But I think the Ultron play is big enough that we may steal the 4 cubes here. They do go with the play into the bigger Red Hulk, but our drones in the right are going to be more than what they have. Our Ultron in the left is able to snag the win. And that is why we don't have like the Patriot, the Blue Marvel enablers for Ultron, because it's a lot harder to see it coming whenever it's a follow-up to just a Sandman without anything else on the board. Otherwise, you're thinking like Leader, Doctor Doom. Very rarely are you thinking the Ultron line. We'll take it. Let's jump over into the next one. Next up, we have New Wang. The first location is Quantum Realm. Let's go with Spider-Ham for now. We could go Nebula as well, but I kind of want to see what they have. Ooh, Luke Cage is a big hit. And so where they could have played into Quantum Realm freely, they now have to struggle a little bit. Let's go ahead and play our Jeff. We may go ahead and throw out our Nocturne next turn. Maybe it's Nebula. It just depends on what we end up drawing. Ooh, we pulled their Shang-Chi. And so the discounted Shang-Chi is nice. And then Unhelpful Yoda, you said I cracked top 40 day? That's huge. We just cracked top 100, which the only season I've finished in top 100 was the season where Mill was, where I was able to abuse Mill. I almost think we just tempo out the Copycat. Knowing that we have the Sandman to lean into next turn, I don't know that it's as important for us to hold on to the Shang-Chi. Because we can do Sandman next into Ultron. And since they haven't done a whole lot, back when Mill was a thing, yeah. Yeah, back when Mill was viable or playable. It's kind of overcooked right now. It has to go back to the oven. All right, so the Red Guardian, the Sentinel, the Jeff. We're looking at Cerebro 3. Which I think is fine. I think the Sandman hurts them a lot. So let's go Sandman mid. We can always Nocturne move into Ultron right, or we can go Ultron mid next turn. It just depends on what and where they play. You mean with the better Doc Ock? I think the Doc Ock was better in that shell, yes. But outside of that, I think now he's more of like a value card rather than like tap out your board card. And then welcome in, Tucker. Hopefully you're having a great day. How are you enjoying the over the air so far? So we could do Ultron here. This would be 5, 10, 15 if they dropped Cerebro. Otherwise, I don't think they're going to compete with what we can drop. The Killmonger was big. It did swing Quantum Realm back for them. But I think Ultron is going to be more than what they can do. And I think the Sandman was disruptive enough that it should be fine. And so the play in the left, the single Cerebro over there, we win mid, we win left with the Ultrons and the drones, we win right. We actually get the 8-cube casserole against Cerebro 3. The Sandman Ultron was a bit too much to bear. We'll take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up we have I Lost Sun. The first location is the hub. We get a Namora. Our Cassandra Nova unfortunately gets the ham. And so no... Or fortunately, it ends up getting discarded by Weapon X, and we draw a new resource, and they lose their Shang-Chi in the process. And so definitely a fair trade, I'd say. I think Sandman is next to get nerfed. I'm not sure, because Sandman only comes in and out of relevancy when we're seeing like a lot of small ball stuff. And so I think right now it's really good, but I don't know that it's good overall. So our Copycat stole Copycat, unfortunate as it is. Let's go Nocturne here. Maybe we set up for like a Namora line. Spider-Ham into Psylocke. What kind of brew are they going that they want a 5-cost card? I'm going to go Copycat into Spider-Ham mid. We can always move the Nocturne over into the right lane to get the bonus there, and we could potentially set up the Namora next turn. Either that, ooh, Juggernaut's gone, beautiful. The Sarah discount, and so we are definitely going to be dropping Sandman here. I think Sandman comes down in Weapon X, and then honestly, maybe it's Namora in mid as our finisher. But it just depends. I'm going to snap into it. Ish Taruku, you said never been so early. I have bad news for you, Ish. So I've been live for... Snapback is scary. So I've been live for 4 hours now. But for whatever reason, my stream tanked. Okay, Joe, don't tell him. My stream tanked for not like 90 seconds, and so then the session restarted. I'm so glad that you're here early, Ish Taruku. Welcome in. I'm glad to see you. No matter what time you got in here. And so the hidden card over to the right is always scary. We do force them to only drop 1 card this turn, which is decent. We could go Namora. That gives us a bigger push here, here, and here. Or we can move the Nocturne into like Red Hulk, or move the Nocturne into like Claw. But I kind of like the Namora. Let's see if it sticks. Ooh, we do end up getting the 4-cube retreat, which is so big. The snap into snap back had me scared, but they're relying on some kind of big finishing combo, and they weren't able to get there with the Sandman. We'll take the 4, and we'll jump into the next one. And so next up we have Yo Woody, rank number 3. Let's see if we can maintain our good win rate and cube equity. We go ahead and play our Nebula over into the right because I don't want to push it into Hala. And then we do have Cassandra Nova, which could potentially be a big resource in the throne room. But it could also leave us open to Shang-Chi. I'm going to play it into mid for now. We do have Jeff to play next. We have Sandman and then an Ultron, which I think could be pretty big for us. I wish you could make upcoming card reviews. Your take on cards could be great. It's something that I've done before, and I definitely could potentially do in the future. So I wouldn't completely rule it out, Josie. I'm going to go ahead and play Jeff to the right. I'm going to play Spider-Ham into mid and see what we hit. So Jeff, Nocturne. Nocturne's not awful. It's not perfect, but it's definitely not awful. Seeing the Gwyn pool come down, they could have like a vision that they're running here, but could also have like the Sandman line. I think we go Sandman of our own. Something like Sandman either here or here. Let's go Sandman to the right. Maybe it becomes Ultron mid, Ultron right, depending on what and where they play this turn. And so Sandman on the right, they do go Brood into mid, and then Sebastian Shaw. And so if they go Silver Surfer, this goes up to 6 power in each of these Broodlings. But as it is right now, something like Ultron here should be able to get us the win against the Gwynpool Broodling Shaw deck, I think. Because it would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shaw would tie with the highest power if we played Ultron to the right. I think this is what we're going to lock in, see if we can bring it home. I think by restricting them to only one card here instead of being able to do Surfer plus Absorbing Man, I think it becomes much harder for them to find that way to win. They could potentially go Killmonger, which would be such a big downside to what we want to do. But the Silver Surfer in the right lane, we still win mid. They win right after everything is said, but since we're impacting all 3 lanes, we are able to grab the 4 cubes against Yo Woody. We will gladly take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up, we have KM Worst again, and we pull their Scar this time. Not that we're ever going to get it discounted, I don't think. We have Nocturne that could be used to change the Lechugia. We could get power into Luke's bar. We also have Ultron to get power over there as well. So if they're not running something that can do that, we may have a slight benefit. Let's go Nocturne in mid. I'll take that back. I like pepperoni and extra sauce, depending on the place that you get it from. A lot of times I enjoy the extra sauce. I play him with Arishem. I think with Arishem, he's great. Pineapple. I tried it, but I didn't care for it too much. And then Pusher, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. We get hit with the Legion, so it could have consolidated all of our cards, but fortunately it wasn't as bad as it could have been. We can go something like Spider-Ham into Cassandra Nova. Cassandra Nova gives us a win in one lane. We send the Ham their way so that it's capped out. They get the extra power from Sunspot, but maybe we do like an Ultron or something similar. I think we snap into it. And I tried Pineapple Pizza there, and I didn't care for it there. And so I figured if I don't like it there, I'm not going to like it anywhere.
Taking aim.
So we hit their big, nasty Arishem. Cassandra comes into the left lane. They are winning in the right, but maybe our Claw can be that surprise factor. They can only drop one card. Or do they just let it all absorb with Sunspot? I don't know. It becomes a little tricky. I'm going to try the Claw. I think maybe the +8 could be the difference maker for us. Shadow King in the left lane wins them that left lane, but even with their scaling, we are able to hold down our Nebula scales. The Claw matches us up in the right lane to that 22. We win the point differential. Super anticlimactic, taking away our Cassandra Nova, but we will grab the 4.